Hello guys, welcome back to Lisandra Patrice Vlogs. Today I am coming to you live from the historical town of Falmouth in Jamaica, which is my hometown. Falmouth is a historical town known for boasting many Georgian style architectural buildings in our country. However, even though we're from this town, many of us do not really know about the details, the nitty gritty of what actually makes this town so historical.
Welcome everyone to Water Square Falmouth. This particular area was the market center and port when Falmouth was a leading sugar producer. It is still considered as the town center. The most prominent landmark in Water Square is the Albert George Market, which was built in 1894. It was erected as a permanent home for the town's market. And did you know that the Albert George Market was actually named after the children of Queen Victoria, Albert and George? Well, I did not know that. Today, Albert George Market still stands as a marketplace for mainly cultural and craft items as well as food and other services. And not to be missed is the clock tower which sits atop the market, which is also considered to be a local landmark. If you should ever visit Falmouth, you will notice that there are a plethora of streets to contend with. Duke Street, King Street, Queen Street, Georgia Street, Rodney Street, Charlotte Street, Pitt Street, Victoria Street, Wellington Street, Stanley Street, and Albert Street. Oh my lord! So many streets to contend with. But Falmouth was carefully laid out with narrow streets named after 18th and 19th century British sovereigns and heroes. Hence, we can conclude that Falmouth is a royal town. Built in 1794, the Trelawny Parish Church, which is otherwise known as the St. Peter's Anglican Church, was the first church in Trelawny and is the oldest public building in the town of Falmouth. Yes, guys, it was built in 1794, which means that this building is 226 years old. St. Peter stands as one of the largest Anglican churches in the island of Jamaica. Actually, the church was built using local limestone and imported bricks from Liverpool, England, on land that was donated by a planter who was known as Edward Barrett. The church is a good example of vernacular architecture derived from classical forms and is described as vaguely Romanesque, an architectural style of medieval Europe and Georgian. Interestingly, graves spanning over 200 years can be found in the churchyard. Eerie. And speaking of cemeteries, guess what we came across on our little trek on Duke Street? The Falmouth Jewish Cemetery. Never would I have associated Falmouth and Jewish in the same sentence. Apparently, Jamaica's Jewish community has officially existed for over 3.5 centuries. They established themselves all over the island, including in Falmouth in the late 1700s. The Jews of Falmouth participated in every aspect of the town's life, and their cemetery served them from the early 19th century to the 1940s. It is interesting that Falmouth is one of the first examples of a mixed burial ground for Sephardic and Ashkenazi Jews, with 79 readable tombstones in English and 13 containing Hebrew. During the restoration project, which aimed to restore tombstones within this cemetery, it was found that there was a Dr. Louis Ashenheim there, the first Scottish-born Jew to graduate in medicine at a Scottish university and one of the first doctors in Jamaica to use anesthesia in his surgeries. So right here you have it, guys. In Falmouth, one of the first physicians to use anesthesia is actually buried in the Falmouth Jewish Cemetery. Oh my lordy, there's so many fun things and new information to find out right here in our town of Falmouth. Just a breaking transmission, guys. You know we really love the seaside. Oh, but we had to come by to just let you know what Falmouth and water have in common. Did you know that fresh water was piped from the nearby Marthabury River to a reservoir in the town centre, and Falmouth had a piped water system even before New York City? Yes, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to my home church, one that I have attended since I was 9 years old when I moved to this parish. Originally called the St. Andrew's Kirk or Scots Kirk, the building was completed in 1834, which makes it 187 years old. Now part of the denomination of the United Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, the United Church historically was the Falmouth home of the Presbyterian Church. A group of 7 Scottish immigrants to Jamaica formed a committee to establish the church and actually purchased the lot in 1830 for only £300. Can you imagine? And the building still stands today. The St. Andrew's Kirk is located on an entire block and surrounded by Rodney, Princess, Lower Harbour, and Newton Streets. It is in one of the coolest localities in Falmouth, being near the sea. The structure is made entirely of red bricks. The seats back then were all boxed in with doors, but now we fully have pews which are similar to the olden day pews. But like all Scottish Kirk churches at that time, it possesses no ornaments or lavish design in architecture, but it was just made as a plain building for worship. Fort Balcarres was erected in the late 18th century to guard the growing fortunes of Falmouth. Originally located in the center of the town, at the site of the current courthouse, the fort had to be relocated in 1803. And guess why? The citizens actually complained that the firing of the cannons during ceremonial salutes were setting their houses ablaze. The fort was later relocated by the sea and was used as a constabulary station and police inspectors' quarters. The old barracks, as they called it, is now where the Falmouth All-Age School is located. Hence, why Falmouth All-Age is usually referred to by the locals as Barrack School. By the mid-1800s, sugar production fell drastically and the fortunes of Falmouth declined. Many sugar estates were virtually abandoned. Architecturally, however, a new dimension was added to the town of Falmouth: the houses of newly freed slaves. These were predominantly wooden cottages, known for their gingerbread fretwork and jalousie windows. Elizabeth Somerville was one of the first women to buy property in the town after emancipation in 1834. She purchased this exact lot in 1836 and built the original 2-room section of this wooden house soon thereafter. now known as the Baptist Manse, the building on the corner of Market and Trelawny streets was originally built as a Masonic temple in 1798. Now, a Masonic temple is what we Jamaicans refer to as a lodge building. So, the Baptist Manse was originally a Masonic temple and the first of its kind in the island of Jamaica in the 1700s. Shortly after completion, the temple was sold to the Baptist missionary. Apparently, the temple was auctioned to the local Baptist church to settle the lodge's debt. The temple later served as a manse for the great advocate for emancipation, William Knibb, while he served as the pastor of the Falmouth Baptist Church. William Knibb was a famous English Baptist minister and missionary to Jamaica, and he is chiefly known today for his work to free slaves. He's oftentimes referred to as a liberator of slaves. And of course, we know of the William Knibb Memorial High School, which was named in his honor, which has produced the likes of Usain St. Leo Boat. This courthouse was erected in 1815. The building is very well proportioned with seemingly vertical and horizontal grads crossing the building. The Palladian-fronted courthouse faces the sea in a grand tribute to the former significance of this trading port and is a fine example of Georgian-styled architecture. The courthouse, though gutted by fire in 1926, was later rebuilt. It numbered among the first official buildings in Falmouth. Currently, the building not only serves as the parish court, but also hosts the parish council offices. Have you ever wondered what is that dome-like looking thing sitting in the midst of Tarp Street? It is known as the Phoenix Foundry. In the 1800s, when sugar was king, the parish of Trelawny boasted more than 100 sugar plantations. The wharves would handle around 30 ships a day, usually unloading slaves shipped from Africa and filling the ships back up with sugar and rum bound for Europe. The primary function of the Phoenix Foundry was to repair ships docked at Falmouth Harbor, although it also repaired boilers, pans, and other sugar manufacturing equipment. Who would have thought that that was the purpose of that dome-like looking thing in the midst of Tarp Street? The Falmouth Pier was opened in March 2011 and is the largest cruise ship port in the Caribbean. It was rebuilt by Royal Caribbean Cruise Line to dock their largest ships for stopovers. These mega ships, 16-deck mega ships, can transport 6,000 passengers and 2,000 crew. It was anticipated that the town of Falmouth, known for its Georgian-style charm, would appeal to the influx of cruise visitors. However, over time, not much of that has materialized, and as you can see, we're in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we remain hopeful. hopeful for a brighter future for Falmouth and for Falmouth to be restored to its former glory.